what I would do.
If you're not watching everything, it means nothing.
The large print giveth, and the small print taketh away.
You, sir, are an idiot.
You guys are talking about Maven from Tough Enough, right? What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Royal Ramble. Steve New in studio, Derek Jones, and Brian Resner via Skype. Gentlemen, how are we doing? Steve,
awesome.
You doing good?
Yeah, doing great, man.
Brian, how you doing?
Doing great, man.
Look, if there was wrestling this week, I'm always doing good.
Well, I'm doing better than I was. For those of you guys,
You know we got two Derek Joneses on the screen there. There we go.
That was
Had
on
to
you,
get my
buddy.
pretty face on it.
That was on you. That wasn't me.
Well, how do I control it?
Try to blame me for that kind of crazy nonsense. Before we even get started, Derek Jones, next week here on the Ramble, you and Richie Acevedo is going one-on-one in a trivia contest for the Royal Ramble Championship. Are you a little nervous?
Of course I'm nervous. I'm nervous that you didn't shine that belt up enough for me to take home.
Well, I'm
And
sorry.
You keep clicking buttons over there, and Brian's not going to be on the show at all tonight.
I know. She's trying to remove me, man. I don't get it. There I am.
Now Derek's gone. All right.
Talk amongst yourself,
Stay
boys.
right
I got
there.
some problems over
Stay
here.
right there.
Don't move.
All right. Good show.
Steve, who you got your money on? Derek Jones or Richie Acevedo?
I saw Richie in Madison this past weekend at the big ASW show. Derek, he's older than you, brother. I got to go with Richie Acevedo.
You know, that's a good point. And not only that, but the guy's an actor. Like, he's paid to remember things.
Yeah, lines. Actors remember lines.
Brian, you got a little two-faced thing going on over here, buddy.
I know, man. I'm trying to fix it.
Get your life together. Who's holding your camera over here? Covey Cole?
I know, right?
I got Rich quick back in the intro, guys, and he's still not here. I don't get it.
But he told you he was bolting.
I don't understand.
Rich is a man of his word.
He is. He's definitely a man of his word. A lot of stuff going on in the wrestling world this week, and I'm excited to talk about it. I don't know about you guys.
I am too. I hope we got a bunch of Ramblers join us. I tweeted for all the folks, and we can talk about some of the stuff that went on Twitter this week with Cornette and some other things.
Cornette out there raising hell again.
I woke up Monday morning to Jim Cornette raising hell, dragging me into it.
Oh,
so
that makes it even better.
Yeah, I'll be happy to talk about that. But yeah, Derek's right. Lots of great stuff to talk about. Can't
a lot of crappy stuff to talk about too.
The cons are many this week, my friend.
Yeah. There are definitely some cons, and not the cons that run ASW either.
AEW.
That's what I said. I said AEW.
ASW.
I'm all the hell now, boys. My wife has went to Georgia for a wedding. I'm at the house by myself. I'm all the hell. I don't know what to do with myself.
I'm going to have to bring Covey a bag of Wendy's double cheeseburgers back to the house just to make sure that he can eat this week.
I'm going to struggle, I'm telling you. Jeez.
That's right. Covey has parked the struggle bus at the corner of Hot Mess Avenue.
It's all up in it. It's all up in it. We're actually going to start this week, guys. We're going to save the chatter for what's going on right now for a little while. I wanted to start with the topic for tonight, which is what was the best triple threat match of all time. And I'm sure you guys were like me whenever I first threw that out last week. There was a match that just the light bulb went off in your head. Let me ask you this before we break it down, Steve. Is the match you come up with the same one that you thought of when I first threw it out?
Yeah,
still the same one?
Yeah, still the same one, hasn't changed.
Brian, Derek, same one?
No, mine changed like 17 times.
Of course it
Right.
did.
Mine's always going to be the same since 2005. There's instantly a match that comes to me ever since it happened, and I'll always talk about it when we have the conversation of triple threats.
Brian, was there any triple threats in 1992?
No.
Triangle matches, maybe?
No.
Not a single triple threat in 1992.
Well, see, I've got a weird setup with mine because I'll explain when it's my turn.
Let Brian go first, though.
You guys going to have like
because
12.
I've got a backup. If his primary...
I guarantee you that none of you guys picked mine.
Now you just profiling.
I'm afraid of yours being mine, too, but...
Well, see, I'm going to tell you, I asked you guys the question if yours changed. Mine changed. Like Brian said, it wasn't 16,
now,
17
mine
times.
hasn't changed. I've got a backup in case somebody takes mine.
I got you. Well, mine changed a few times.
Same era.
And the more and more I thought about it, there was one that I could not get off of, which we will go to shortly. I'm going to let Brian go first, like Steve mentioned. Brian, go ahead and throw yours out. Whatever we do not get to in the discussion here, if there's some honorable mentions, we'll throw them out there. But what was your number one?
Here's my issue. My issue is my favorite triple threat match. Okay, what are the rules here?
Why do you do this to me every single week, Brian? Just answer the question.
Well, I'm saying, is it just
was it a
3
triple
minute
threat
match
or no?
It is a triple threat match, but it's not a triple threat match because it's a 3-way dance.
Same damn thing.
No, it's not the same damn thing. And
What
I'll
is
explain why it's not.
Okay,
because
explain it to me, Mr.
In a 3-way dance, which is what all triple threats should be, everyone has to you have to pin both of your opponents. In a triple threat match, you just pin one guy. But in a 3-way dance, you have to pin both guys.
I agree. The 3-way dance should be applied to all. I like that. Me and my boys, we like to play WWE 2K19, 18, whatever it is, and they have a new feature on there starting last year. If you're doing a 3-way, 4-way, 5-way, 6-way, you can make it an elimination match. So it's last man standing. That's how all those matches should be.
I don't think that's a last year thing. It's been around for a while.
They might have turned it off for a couple of years, but that's been around for quite a while.
Well, I just found it then. How about it? Is that better?
It's new to Covey.
3-way dance. 3-way dance. My number one is a 3-way dance, and if you were going to throw it out because it was a 3-way dance, I was going to pick the TLC.
Hold on, whoa, hang on. Pick your number one. Follow simple instructions, Brian. I love you. But follow simple instructions. Throw your one out, baby. Then we'll all throw our one out, and then we'll go back to it.
Anyway, my pick is Hardcore Heaven 97, Shane Douglas versus Sabu versus Terry Funk for the ECW Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
You're right. We're not going to pick that one, but that was a damn good match.
That was a great match. That
really was.
Hardcore Heaven pay-per-view, I mean, that was the pinnacle of ECW as far as
Hardcore Heaven 97 is my favorite ECW pay-per-view of all time.
Mine too.
And that 3-way dance really just made ECW like it defined ECW.
It did.
Like that 3-way dance is where it was at, and I mean, I've never seen one better than that one.
Ben Cliff's putting you over here. He says superb choice, Brian Resner.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cliff.
Robert Rippus said mine too, Brian Resner. I'm not sure if that was his pick or what. Facebookers, we will come back to you guys here a little bit.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Derek, what is your number one?
So my number one is from TNA, Unbreakable 2005. Unbreakable, that's the only year they had it, so if you look it up, you'll find this match instantly.
This was on my short list. You're right. It's a damn good one.
It is the best triple threat. It's the triple threat between Joe, Styles, and Daniels. Joe just won the X Division Cup. Daniels is the longest reigning X Division champion. But the best part about that entire match is they protected each other the whole time. They would not let a finish go kicked out at all. They always used the third man to break the count, and that is my favorite thing about that match, is they protected each other and their gimmick, their moves the entire time.
That's a good one. Hey, what's up? You're on with the Royal Ramble. Who we got?
Hello.
I guess they didn't want to talk to us. You scared them away with that TNA bull crap, Derek.
That was a great three-way match. I agree with that 100%.
They said they thought they had a good match, and then they realized this is a show with people who know wrestling, and their pick was bad.
I'm afraid it's a telemarketer, Steve.
Well, look and see who it is.
It's from Mableton, Georgia.
Oh, that's your boy.
Maybe it's Lyndon.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Number, then I was trying to get in touch with
Telemarketer.
All right.
As we were. That was actually on my short list, like I mentioned, Derek. That was a great match. And it meant so much. Like you said, Christopher Daniels was the longest reigning champion at the time.
6 months.
Yeah. I guess it's my turn now, huh?
I can go or you can. It's up to you. You go ahead and go.
I'll go ahead and blow my load in, and you can throw yours out there in a minute.
I'm glad I'm not in studio anymore.
I'll tell you, I'm going to run Steve off next. I didn't run you guys off, run Rich off.
That's right.
Well,
Derek,
no wonder if you're blowing your load all over the place.
There's a reason I got this desk here. It's so these ramblers at home watching can't see what's going on down here. Derek, why are you back in the studio today, man? I stopped singing for you. I thought for sure you'd be back this week.
Look, you did stop singing, and I appreciate that. You know, then you sent me a message and sang to me and made me sick, so I was missing last week. I was still sick to my stomach. Steve had a good joke about that. I appreciated it. But you keep changing things on me, you know?
That's what I do. I got to keep up with Brian. He's always trying to change the mold, so I'm always trying to change with it. You know what I'm saying?
But Brian changes your ideas. You tell him to pick one thing, he brings 10. Not the time of the show.
I like to call it a self-proclaimed producer. But anyway.
I had softball. Leave me alone. Real quick before I throw mine out, Kenny Dunn agrees with you, Derek. Joe, Styles, and Daniels. So there you go. Mine, back to Brian's original phrasing, however you want to word it there earlier, about which way it could go, what's the rules to this. I try to keep them very vague so you can kind of interpret it however which way you want. But my triple threat is WrestleMania 17, 2001, the Dudley Boys versus the Hardys versus Edge and Christian. Technically a triple threat. Yeah, it was a little different as a tag team.
Yep.
But that match right there is the brainchild of all of this wrestling you're seeing now. And I kept going back to that one because it was so entertaining to watch. You was on the edge of your seat. What are they going to do? It actually topped the match they had earlier in the year in SummerSlam, or the year prior in SummerSlam. But that's my pick.
You didn't think they could top it.
Yeah.
And they did. They went out and topped. That's what I remember thinking about that match. Is I was blown away the first time they did it, and then I remember thinking watching that pay-per-view, there's no way they topped themselves, and darn if they didn't.
Amazing.
Yeah, I agree 100%. If you would have thrown away my three-way dance and said that didn't count, then that TLC was going to be mine as well.
What if I would have told you there wasn't no tag teams allowed?
Then I would have had to gone with Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Chris Benoit.
I should have asked you that. I just contradicted myself with my rules and everything. Why did I ask you that?
Yeah, you see
Damn it.
that?
See what you did there?
Producer.
See what you did there?
It's wearing off on you.
Daggone it, Brian. You did it again. Steve New, what is your number one?
Mine is Jericho versus The Rock versus Stone Cold when Jericho won the, whatever you want to call it, Unified World Heavyweight Undisputed World Heavyweight Championship. Number one, I didn't expect Jericho to win it.
Who did, you know?
Going in, but then not only that, not only what it did for Chris Jericho's career, but man, what just a fantastic match. I mean, it was all three of those guys, you know, in their primes, just as good as they could be on that night. And I remember being just completely blown away. You know, there were no triple threats really to speak of in the 80s. You know, Brian said, you know, Brian probably latched on to the best triple threat in the 90s. I can't think of anything in the 90s that even comes close. And then, you know, you get that classic. I mean, it was an instant classic.
I have another late 90s triple threat that was pretty awesome. It was also ECW. ECW November to Remember 99. Super Crazy to Jerry and Jerry Lynn. That was another great match.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Hey, if you want to talk about ECW, what about Shane Douglas, Steven Richards, and Terry Funk? They did one as well.
I don't remember that one.
It was a great one.
I wanted to see one between RVD, Sabu, and Bill Alfonso. That's what I wanted to see. Maybe a whistle on a pole match between the guys. Let me throw out some more here real quick, guys. Armageddon, 2008, Edge, Triple H, and Jeff Hardy. That was a good one. This one was almost my pick just because I thought it was perfect writing, and it's kind of newer. And WWE seems like they screw up their writing a lot of the time. But WrestleMania 31, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, and then Seth Rollins cashed it in and interjected himself in the match. I thought that was pretty awesome.
That wasn't a triple threat match, though.
It turned into one. It turned into one. Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
WrestleMania 20, Triple H, HBK, and Chris Benoit. When Chris Benoit got his shining moment and won the title for the first time. That was pretty awesome.
That was actually my honorable mention. That's where I was potentially going if I didn't go with TNA.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good one.
Was very good one.
Yep.
And the last one I have on, the last one I have on my list that wasn't mentioned is Vengeance 2002, Undertaker, The Rock, and Kurt Angle. So there's been a lot of good ones through the years. Now there's been a lot of crappy ones too. I know some people out there in the wrestling world aren't a fan of triple threats, three-way dances, triangle matches, whatever you want to call them.
Only wrestlers I have found are not fans of triple threats. I've never heard a fan say, "Oh, I hate the triple threat matches," or "I hate the three-way dances." It's only wrestlers, and they only hate them when they're involved in them.
I'm not crazy about them. I think I think it has to be high quality wrestling, to pull it off.
Well, that's what I was actually gonna add. That is the reason why wrestlers hate triple threat matches is because you literally have to be on top of your game, and you have to tell a different story in the ring than you would any other time.
You got to bring it.
And three people have to come together to make one story, and that's difficult.
It is. Sorry, guys, I was speaking out of turn there. I was scrolling back through the Facebook comments to get some of our.
I have not watched Nigel McGuinness.
Hang on now. The people listening to the podcast don't know what you're talking about. Ben Cliff on Facebook says, "Steve News, screw your tweets. Have you watched the Nigel McGuinness documentary yet?"
Listen, buddy. I'm going to tell you something, all right?
Tell where you was at 2 weeks ago. You had time for the Nigel
McGuinness. Exactly
McGuinness.
Right. I had a weekend of WrestleMania, plus I had 67 hours of Game of Thrones to watch from when the legislative session ended until last Sunday
Did you get
night.
caught up?
I got caught up.
How in the hell did you really?
67 hours.
That's why I couldn't get a hold of you. You was in Wonderful.
Wait a minute. My clients might be watching this. So.
Incriminate yourself, Steve.
Let me say this about this topic about Nigel McGuinness. Steve, you're truly doing yourself a disservice by not watching that documentary.
All right.
Once you watch that documentary, you're going to be like, "Wow, how the hell did I miss this guy?"
All right.
I mean, it's truly an amazing documentary. It's some of the best work the WWE's done in the last couple of years.
Well, since Ben has dragged us kicking and screaming into the world of wrestling documentaries, did you guys watch the Viceland series?
I did.
Last week. I thought it was excellent. I heard the guys on Cornette's podcast a couple weeks ago. Cornette is featured in 2 or 3 of this first series of 6. I'm seeing nothing but rave reviews about. I thought the Viceland on Macho Man and Elizabeth was really good. I'm anxious to watch. I believe the Montreal Screwjob.
I didn't see the Screwjob. I seen Bruiser Brody and Macho Man and Elizabeth.
Yeah. I think it's fantastic. Here we are. We're in the midst of all this great wrestling. You can watch tons of great wrestling almost every night of the
or
week.
tons of Game of
every
Thrones
night.
if you choose.
All right, or tons of Game of Thrones, among other TV series.
You know what I thought was really cool about those Viceland documentaries is the actors who played the silent actor clips while they were
Yes.
telling the story. Man, that guy looked just like Macho Man.
Yeah,
Oh, my goodness.
and the young lady looked like, shadowed out, favored Miss Elizabeth,
You know who did not look like their character, though, was the Lex Luger.
Luger. That's
Yeah,
right.
Lex Luger guy did not look like it at all. He
Right.
looked like He-Man.
Right. So,
Here we go. One that was not mentioned, dude, just popped in. Cody Smith says, maybe late, but Seth Rollins versus John Cena versus Brock Lesnar is one of his favorites.
Huh.
It was okay. I've noticed a trend with Brock Lesnar. If he's wrestling a little guy or a smaller guy than he is instead of a Braun Strowman or a Roman Reigns, he typically has a pretty decent match.
Yeah.
Seth
Well,
Rollins,
the
Daniel Bryan,
one that we didn't
AJ
mention
Styles.
was John Cena versus Edge versus Big Show.
Big Show?
Ah.
You going to put Big Show in?
That was a great match, man. Big Show, Edge, John Cena, triple threat was a great match.
I don't remember it right off, but let me guess. John Cena give the attitude adjustment to Big Show and Edge at the same time, right?
That's the spot.
Yeah,
Yep.
I remember that. I don't remember the match, but I remember that spot. That was pretty cool.
Dog spot,
Hey, there it is.
parking spot,
Old man spot, liver spot. That reminds me, I was listening to.
Is that 4 weeks in a row?
Oh, we're killing it. We're killing it, buddy.
4 weeks in a row.
4 weeks in a row. No wonder Derek's at home.
Right.
But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to our pros and cons, gentlemen. Do you want to? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why'd you take me off the screen again?
Because I'm tired of your crap, Brian. Tired of it.
He said you didn't fall into the spot.
Oh, gosh. There's two Dereks. Oh, gosh.
There we go.
Now they're backwards, though. Steve, talk to these people. I got to get my life together
All
over
right.
here.
I'm going to go ahead and start with my pro, if you don't mind. And my pro this week, it was the face Big O, Kevin Owens. Now, anybody who knows me knows that I'm not a big Kevin Owens guy. All right?
What?
I think he looks like he's about 7 months pregnant. He does not look like a professional wrestler to me. But I thought on SmackDown, getting him that really good face pop in his home territory and having him come out and be an honorary member of the New Day, that was my pro this week. The more, I think WWE has misused Kevin Owens' character just a little bit, having him be that sulky guy, kind of like that Sami Zayn still is now, This Kevin Owens I like much better. I mean, and I understand that's easy to do in Montreal, when he's going to get the cheap pops anyway because he's speaking French Canadian. But
This segment was almost my con. Let me tell you why, Steve.
what's that?
This is exactly my problem with Kofi Kingston. Go ahead, Lyndon. Come at me again, bro. He can't do it by himself. He's got to have people to piggyback off of. He can't do it himself.
I have heard a lot of people say that they don't know that if Kofi can carry.
At least let
Well, I
him
gotta
try,
Well, Kofi versus Seth Rollins the week before on Raw was shaping up to be a nice match. Kofi didn't need anybody out there with
That's
him.
true.
Let me
That's
tell
true.
you what I think Kofi can't do on his own. I don't know that Kofi's got a great promo in him solo.
That's
Kofi-
exactly what it is.
Kofi can do the great matches. I just don't think that he's the greatest talker without somebody like KO out there or somebody like Big E.
And for me,
So, I mean,
that's the main attraction for me. Is I want to go promo.
It is me too. So I mean, maybe in the future, if they're going to bust up the New Day, maybe you get Kofi a manager, John.
Well, I think that's a great idea, and I think that if you're going to make Kofi the heel, then you could totally use Mandy Rose. Because Mandy Rose could come in and cut the promo for Kofi, and she looks good, and it would get Kofi all kinds of heat with Mandy
Brian.
Rose or any female.
Brian,
You got to let go of Andy Rose.
Derek, help me out here.
He's as bad over Mandy
gotta
Rose as
let
I am
go.
Alexa Bliss. Now let's just
No,
call
I just
let's
want Mandy
call it
Rose
the
out of the
way it
ring.
is, Brian.
I just don't want Mandy Rose to lose her job, but I do want her to get out of the ring.
She needs to lose her job because A, she wasn't good enough to win Tough Enough, so why is she there?
She's there because she's gorgeous.
Yeah, and exactly. That's the only reason she's there because
Therefore,
when
she
Hogan
should
was
be a
ejected,
manager.
Right.
They replaced her with The Miz, and The Miz saved her one week because he said, and I quote, "You're pretty hot." And he kept her in Tough Enough for that reason alone. And it's stupid stuff like that that
That's
got
good
Patrick
enough for
Clark
me.
kicked out of Tough Enough. Who, the Velveteen Dream, one of the best things going in NXT now, couldn't win Tough Enough. But Mandy Rose here, let's bring her in. Let's do something special with her. She's garbage.
You're making Brian's point. You're making Brian's point. Lana's.
No, Brian wants to keep her around. I don't want her on my WWE TV.
You're
or
telling me
Wrestle
she
TV.
could-
You
Only
don't
a
like
good
beautiful
ballet.
women, Derek? Is that what you're telling the audience?
What are the qualifications for a valet? To
Miss
be
Elizabeth
super
ever
hot,
wrestle?
To be super hot and to talk crap.
That's exactly
Mandy
right.
fits the bill. She fits the bill for that. But
Sunshine never wrestled. Woman, the fallen angel, never wrestled. Miss Elizabeth never wrestled. You can go down through the 80s and 90s with all kinds of.
You're forgetting my favorite,
Who's that?
Kimberly.
Well, I think she attempted to wrestle a time or two. Now, I realize that Scary Sherry and some of them did wrestle, but there are also a lot of great women valet/managers all down through history who were just eye candy, but they also served that really wonderful role of spraying something in the baby face's eyes.
Perfume, get some
Perfume.
baby powder.
having a female, well, first of all, the fallen angel was Christopher Daniels, and the only one that ever sprayed perfume was Rick Martel. But
you're full of crap. The fallen angel was woman, Nancy Benoit, before she was woman.
Thank you very much.
That's
to me, the
that's
fallen
for
angel is
starters.
Christopher Daniels. But nevertheless, when we're talking about your pro of Kevin Owens, the entire time I watched Kevin Owens play Big E's part, all I was waiting for was the one thing I didn't get.
A turn?
Which was a heel turn. I was wanting Kevin Owens to beat the crap out of everybody.
Now that's a better
involved.
part of this. A big problem that I have with WWE writing right now is that they don't tease anything. They don't tease it out several weeks, or even when they do, they milk it too long. You know, somebody's got to find the Goldilocks just right between milking.
Mandy Rose,
the hell
she's
out
got
of
gold
it.
hair.
Well, there
We
you
should
go.
be a Goldilocks. What do you think, Derek?
I agree.
Brian, what was your pro of the week, my friend? Brian Resner.
Yeah.
What's your pro of the week, buddy?
My pro of the week is AJ Styles coming to Raw simply because I'm going to get my dream match of Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles.
Do you want to see a heel AJ Styles, or do you want babyface versus babyface?
I don't care. I don't care who the heel is. I don't care who the face is. I don't care if they're both faces. I don't care if they're both heels. I just want to see the match, and I want the match to be on a big stage like SummerSlam, and I want it to be an Iron Man match. That's what I want. I want Seth Rollins, AJ Styles, Iron Man match.
As long as it would be Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart Iron Man. I don't want to see another Dolph Ziggler and who was it he was Iron Man matching with there last year? I don't forgot.
That was a 30-minute, wasn't it?
But it was whatever. But it was like eight pinfalls in the match. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was Seth Rollins.
Brian,
and
I got a
Dolph Ziggler.
question for you. How did you feel about him being brought in as the six-man tag partner of Reigns and Rollins for
I
his
hate
Raw
six-man
debut?
tags.
I know you do.
I hate six-man tags, but whatever it took to get AJ on the same show as Seth. I mean, the match was going to suck regardless.
Did you like his clean-shaven look?
He still needs to speak to the manager, but I like the clean-shaven look.
I don't know. I didn't care about that. I was just infatuated with the fact that he was there.
Yeah.
Period. He's on Raw.
Good move.
And you know who called that? 100%? Derek Jones.
Yep.
Derek Jones said it was going to be AJ.
So that's why he was sitting there with a shit-eating grin on his face. I was wondering what was going on.
Yeah, 30 minutes before it even happened, Derek Jones had already figured out AJ.
Sure did.
I had to turn y'all's conversation off because I hadn't got to the TV yet. Y'all's trying to ruin
You
it
were
for
busy
me.
playing softball like
That's
Sid
right.
Vicious.
Don't make me get my scissors
John
out, pal.
had the HLA softball league Monday evening there.
Did you hear me, Brian?
Yeah, I heard you. About
Don't
your
make me get
scissors.
my scissors out because I'll get them. I got them in the back here.
What's wrong, John? Can't find your scissors? Can't find your scissors?
All right, what's your pro, Derek?
So my pro this week, my pro is the moment of bliss with Sami Zayn. Because
It was
I
good.
like the
Hang on
heel-
before you say that, Derek, before you go into it. You're in the same area that I'm at, so I'm going to agree with everything you say right now. Go ahead.
You couldn't have let me finish and then said that, John?
No, go ahead.
You couldn't have let me got everything out?
I
You couldn't
couldn't do
let
it.
me just said what I had to say?
Ole,
Ain't got much to say,
ole,
but I wanted to
ole,
say it.
ole. Go ahead.
Gosh. Anyway, so
hey.
that to me, that's the ideal type of heel. I like this. I like the new Daniel Bryan. I like Sami Zayn. I like the heel that's I'm better than you, and I'm gonna tell you why, and I'm gonna be as vocal as I can. But also, I'm a guy that can articulate enough words and verbiage that makes you feel inadequate to me. That's what I like. I like a guy that can talk on a microphone and make you feel stupid as a heel. I don't like the chicken heel. I don't like the guy that runs from everybody and uses other people to do his dirty work. That's the heel I like. And Sami Zayn played that to a T in his hometown, which made it even better.
Well, to piggyback off what you're saying there, I agree with you 120%. To add to that, though, for me, he comes out there and he's got his hometown crowd eating out the palm of his hand. He's running up down the ramp. He's chanting with them, and they're all like, "Oh, Sami Zayn, I love him!" And then he starts in on them, and it just totally turns like that right there. It was brilliant. Brilliant. It really was. I like Sami Zayn heel. Now, if you guys remember back whenever we first started this show last year, I was not a Sami Zayn fan at all.
I'm not a Sami Zayn fan. I think he looks goofy. He's not very athletic.
He's fun.
He's fun. And then that goofy soccer chant, I mean, hey, you know. To each
I feel
his
like
own.
we're about to see something really fun with Sammy when he brings El Generico out as a face and he's a heel.
That'd be
And
great.
he plays them both at the same time. I feel like that's coming.
I
feel
did
like we're
read
gonna
somewhere
see-
that Sami Zayn is one of the few in the company that is allowed to do his own promos.
I feel like
So,
Sammy.
that's good.
I feel like Sammy is gonna do a Owen Hart Blue Blazer thing without the
Oh
death.
God, let's hope not.
Who's
I
he going to
said-
do it with?
I said without the death.
Oh,
I think that he actually might try to do it with himself. I think it'd be really funny if El Generico comes out, gets over with the fans, and Sami Zayn and El Generico start talking back and forth to each other without the other one being there.
that's
Yep.
worse than a buzzard in a box, Brian.
Then they book the match, and it actually is two different people.
But they've got to have somebody. Yeah, they've got to have somebody else to play it because eventually they've got to come face to face. Owen faced
Right.
off with the Blue Blazer once. I mean,
Kind of like
Well,
a Mr.
yeah, but
America type
he was
gimmick. type
black
deal.
at that time
Yeah.
when he did.
Yeah.
I wasn't
that?
a fan when the
Yeah.
Blue Blazer done it. I wasn't a fan when Mr. America done it. And I don't want to see Sami Zayn do it. I want to see Sami Zayn doing exactly what he's
You
doing.
never saw the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, in the Midnight Rider in the same place neither.
That's true. That's true. All right,
I
let's
feel like you're about to see it.
let's move on to the cons, gentlemen. Steve, since you started the pros, I'll go ahead and let you start on the cons too, bro.
Guys.
Just one now. Don't pull a Brian on me.
I bet you everybody's got the same con.
Probably not, but it would be very easily to
That
read your
stupid
mind and
that
pick it.
stupid doll.
The little Annabelle thing.
House. My goodness.
Okay.
Did
okay,
you
that's
just
good.
like
That's
that
not mine.
worse than the buzzard in a box?
Oh, it's one side or the other of the same coin, John, I will tell you. But I mean, what in the blue Hades that has to do with professional wrestling, I don't have an earthly idea. I mean, I have watched wrestling since 1981. I once watched Dick Slater put a gorilla suit on. I once watched Pistol Pez Watley wear a mop head. I have seen, negligee. I've seen some crazy stuff in wrestling in almost 40 years of watching it. But what in the world this little baby doll rocking and moving her eyes back and forth has to do with anything decent in professional wrestling?
Well, if you remember when we was talking about the buzzard on the show last week, somebody referenced, I can't remember who it was, somebody back in the 90s, Harvey Whippleman maybe, that had the puppet that come out to the ring.
No, Brian brought that up. Paul Ellering.
Paul Ellering, that's what it was. Well, that's kind of what this puppet reminded me of when I first seen it, because it was a ventriloquist puppet. You could tell. And I was like, oh, maybe they're listening to the show.
Oh, my goodness. It was just awful. But anyway, that's my con for the week. I'm sorry.
That was very con-worthy. I'm with you. I love Bray Wyatt, and I'm excited to see him come back, but I don't know what this is they're doing. He don't need all this crap. Just bring him back.
Hey, Brian, did you notice that the Buzzard had Bray's shirt on this week?
I think he had it on last week,
Same
too.
design, same flowered pattern of Bray's shirt the Buzzard has on.
Did not see that. Did not notice that.
Yep.
A little Easter egg for you there.
That was pretty terrible, and I totally think that was definitely con-worthy. There was a worse one.
Hold on, don't go there yet. Brian and Derek, do you guys think you're on the same page with your con?
I would guess yes.
There's potential for it, I guess. I mean,
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and interject myself in here. I'm going to go ahead and throw mine out because I know mine's not the same one that you guys are picking. Brian,
I thought I was saying.
Hey, John, let me send a shout out to my brother in Colorado, Brian Floro.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, I got to see Brian Floro last summer when I was in Denver for a legal conference. He and I went to basic training together in 1989 and 1990, and I hadn't seen him in 28 years.
Wow.
And Brian Floro in Colorado, thanks for checking us out.
What's up,
man.
brother? Appreciate you tuning in. Brian, it was supposed to be your turn.
Go ahead, John.
But you know how you always try to break the rules here on the show? I'm going to break some rules, all right?
Go ahead, break the rule, and if your con is the same as mine, I'll just jump in with you. But
He's
got 5 more waiting on you.
Oh, he's got them holstered ready to go.
Exactly.
He's got them. He's going to be like
Mine's so
Desperado
ready to
over there with a guitar case full of cons, just pulling them out.
He wants to walk with Elias.
That could have been my con. That was horrible. But anyway, my con of the week was, I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but when Chad Gable and Bobby Roode were out there doing their thing, and we want a SmackDown come over wrestler, tag team wrestlers, and then next thing you know on the screen it pops up, the Usos. And then they finished their promo, and then the Usos surprise everybody. You got one job, production guy. How are you going to ruin this surprise by throwing it out there? Some people be like, oh, it's a simple mistake. And me being a production guy, I should probably overlook it because shit does happen, like having 2 Bryans on the screen and a Derek Jones. But I'm sorry, a company that large with that much invested in it, you got to do better than that.
Right.
That's like having a big old light on during AJ Styles and Randy Orton's match at WrestleMania. I didn't ask you about that. Was it bad? Was it bad?
It was bad. Like one side of the stadium was like chanting, "Turn the lights off."
So you could see fine.
Yeah. But it was. They had the lights. All right, I was right by the ramp going down to the ring, and so you got this side of the stadium, which is the Jets Ring of Honor, and then you got this side of the stadium, which is the Giants Ring of Honor. They were shining lights at the Giants side of MetLife Stadium. Those people over there were livid.
I bet they were.
There was all kinds of stuff blocking their view on that side of the stadium, and that's where Miz and Shane did that spot. But they also had
what kind of spot did they do, Steve?
Wasn't a liver spot. It was a high spot. And that bank of lights just shining right at the Giants side of the stadium.
But, Brian, was I correct in my assumptions? Was your con different than mine?
Yeah, my con's different, but since you guys went from that tag team match to lights in an arena, let me shine a little light on your con.
Oh,
There is some good in your con. And I'll
but the
tell you what
Usos
that
are on
good
Raw.
is.
Yeah, that's great.
Do you know what the good was?
Yeah.
That was the last time you're going to see Bobby Roode tag up with Chad Gable, because Chad Gable is now on SmackDown. And Bobby Roode is still on Raw, hopefully to take his place as the number one heel.
Let me ask you, Brian. I'm a fan of splitting up the tag teams like that, or tag teams dissolving, if you will, without there having to be a turn. You know, for the last umpteen years, probably since the barbershop kicked through the window there, super kick through the window, it's almost been as if one tag member has to turn on the other. Now, you know, back in the day, lots of times guys would just stop tagging, you know, and it wasn't a big deal. They were thrown together a lot of times, have a short run, maybe get some titles, you know, some underneath tag titles or something like that. But, you know, I think Gable's profile has been improved by tagging with Bobby Roode.
Would you say he's glorious now?
I don't believe he's glorious because he stole Bobby's gimmick, you know, or he at least was allowed to wrestle under Bobby's gimmick. But
You know who the best gimmick stealer of all time is, in my opinion? Damien Mizdow.
Oh, well.
But anyway, go ahead.
I don't know. When Axelmania ran wild
That was
a
good
couple
too.
years ago, that was a
too.
pretty good one.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brian. I was just wondering, is that an acceptable dissolution of Roode and Gable to you?
I believe that it didn't matter how it happened, that
It
that
just
it needed to happen.
to?
It needed to happen. And hopefully Chad Gable will go over to SmackDown. They still won't find anything for him to do, and they'll send him to 205 Live where he belongs.
Hey,
And
Derek,
that'd be
Derek,
awesome.
Yep.
Derek,
True.
do you know what I believe?
I'm
Oh,
never
don't
coming
even
back.
start. Don't even start, John. Don't you tell me about the children and their future. I don't want to hear about it.
Hey, this might be the smartest thing I've ever seen Michael Loving say. This could very easily work. He says Sister Abigail is coming, and it's going to be Nikki Cross. I'm not opposed to that. I think that could be interesting.
Yeah, but if it does happen, you've totally already ruined it by bringing Nikki Cross out.
Nikki Cross was originally planned to be Sister Abigail at one time before they brought her up to the main roster because she fit the gimmick a little bit. They've already brought her up. They're not going to make her Nikki Cross. He's been hanging on that for months and months now. It's not going to happen. It's not going to work. And I can't believe you would agree with him on that.
Oh, you leave him alone, Derek.
It would have worked before they brought her up. But Nikki Cross is just like that character. Who's the character in TNA? She's annoying too. Can't remember. There's one of her in TNA as well. But
What's your con, Brian?
You want to know what my con is?
Yeah, throw it out there for me.
My con made me so angry that I talked crap about it for the first hour of Raw. My con.
Hey, you got
aggravated
steam
me
coming off your
so
head right now.
much. My con aggravated me so much. See, you know what? You may have taken Resner's rants off the show because of us getting sued, maybe. But this is going to be one of Resner's rants.
Uh-oh.
Because my con is turning into a rant right now. When I say that you have the freaking 2019 Road Warriors. Well, look at all that Derek that's there. Okay, you've got the 2019 Road Warriors in your hands. And they've got a cool chant. They've got a cool name. They've got indie exposure. And you rename Hanson and Rowe and call them Eric and Ivor, and you name them the Viking Experience? What do you want on your t-shirt? You want War Raiders on your t-shirt, or you want the Viking Experience? I mean, let's just be real. This is the worst idea that the WWE has had, and that's really saying something. That is really saying something. To have something that's so freaking gold and you just piss right on it until it's saturated with urine. That is exactly what they did to the War Raiders. I'm so pissed off right now. I'm still mad. And we've already went through Raw and SmackDown. But man, what a fumble. I've never seen the WWE fumble so hard in my life. And that is really saying something, because the WWE fumbles. I would rather have more buzzards in a box than the Viking Experience. That is the dumbest name ever. Rant over. That's my con. The Viking Experience.
I seen that coming a mile away. I'm with you 120%. The only reason I didn't pick that one was because I felt like it was too easy. If you want to call your finishing move the Viking Experience, okay, I can almost party on.
Yeah, that would have been great.
Yeah.
The Viking Experience would have been a great name for a finishing move. But
Derek, how do you feel about this?
I completely agree with him. I was mad when they changed their name from War Machine to the War Raiders, but at least they kept the point that they could still do their chant when they come out. Now they can't even get the war chant.
I'm not familiar. What's the chant? I'm not familiar. What's the chant?
They just chant war.
War.
That's their thing. That's what they do.
Viking.
That's what they do.
Viking. Yeah, that's horrible.
'Cause I'm a war machine.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's the reason why they got rid of the War Machine. They got rid of the War Machine because they didn't want to get sued. There's too many War Machine things out there. Marvel owns War Machine. Kiss owns War Machine. I mean, I understood. When they
don't own my War Machine.
Well, when they changed War Machine to War Raiders, I didn't like it, but I understood.
Right.
War Raiders to Vikings.
Do you guys think that it had something to do with the term war and them going to Fox? They wanted to get away from the word war? Or am I thinking too much into that?
I think that if that is the reason, then someone needs slapped in their freaking face. What are you talking about? We need to get away from the word war. What are we doing here?
I'm asking a question. Don't come at me, Brian.
No, I'm just saying, to them. They used to call the show Raw as war. I mean, war is
Until
not a
9/11.
bad word for two opposite sides combating. I'm so mad.
Casey Mitchum on Facebook here says, Covey, come on, man. Watch NXT. I only got so much time. I can't play softball and watch NXT. Well, maybe get the scissors out, Casey.
Casey, we're just glad you're watching.
Yeah, appreciate you tuning in, for sure. It's always nice to see you on there. Derek, what was your con? Is that your con, or you got something else in mind?
Brian, I mean, everything that you just said in that rant is 100%. I'm sorry, Derek. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Everything you just said is 100% spot on, man. I mean, Derek agrees with you. John and I agree with you. They're taking a great young tag team, that had a great gimmick. And I saw, even Jim Ross being asked about, the name change and things like that.
Oh, really? What did he say about it?
He said, look, I love these two young guys. He's like, guys, Twitterverse, I don't understand. I don't understand the gimmick change. No,
That's the closest. You know what they should have renamed them? The Ascension 2. Because that's where they're headed now that they're under the writing of Raw and SmackDown. And you know what? I'm so disappointed in Bruce Pritchard. I'm so disappointed in Bruce Pritchard.
Everybody thought he was going to be their savior, and
I really did.
It hasn't
thought he was
happened.
going to do something.
You know who's
now
next,
I'm ready
right?
For him to hire
We're
Vince
going to have to
Russo
call
back.
up Bro and get him back in there.
bro.
Bro.
All right, I'm sorry. We interrupted Derek Jones on his con.
All right, so
I'm just trying to calm Brian down. He's tore all the hell over there.
He is twirled.
ahead,
that
Derek.
was honestly, I was going to use that, but since Brian used it, I mean, I don't want to recycle because there was a lot of cons this week. So my con, I'm going to go with Lars Sullivan. How do you take a freak of nature like that? All right, so we already know that he has his issues, and then we're going to hold off and bring him out later on, and we're not going to completely turn him into a horror movie monster. And the great thing about it, even Corey Graves said at one point in time, he looks like something straight out of a horror movie, and he does. So change his music, repackage him. Don't just bring him out to be the same crap that we've seen in NXT, because it didn't work there. The only reason they like him is because he's a big guy and he's scary looking, which could work to their advantage. But again, here's that WWE creative. Let's not do what works and makes sense. I mean, You could honestly turn the lights off, flash pulse red, give him the horror movie music to come out to, let him slowly walk and stalk his opponents all the time, and it would make more sense than what they're doing with him now.
Since we're doing horror with him,
well, hang on a second. I got to go ahead and throw it out right here, right now. My man Lyndon on here, me and him agree. He said on Facebook here, there's a person to blame here. His name is Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
I know that it was a work, but when Roman Reigns punched him Tuesday night at the end of SmackDown, I just got all giddy.
It was nice.
I'm telling you. Vincent Kennedy McMahon is what is wrong with the wrestling industry right now. He is old, 20 years past his prime, at least 15 years past his prime. He needs to go to the house, play grandpa.
Vince has developed some of the greatest things that we've ever seen on WWE TV or in the wrestling world. It almost makes me believe that he doesn't even watch the product anymore and has no clue what's going on.
Well,
if he allows something like this to actually happen,
Brian, do you see the sign on the door over there when you walked in? Ain't no smoking allowed in here.
I'm not in there. And I had to calm myself down, and I'm not smoking. Actually, I haven't smoked in like 14 days.
14 days. That's 2 weeks, Brian. Are you going to be one of these people that like, my kid's 47 months old? 2 weeks, Brian. 14 days is 2 weeks.
Okay, so I haven't
Derek,
smoked
I
in
mean,
2
so
weeks.
you like Lars Sullivan otherwise, though?
He's got a lot of potential if you do the right things with him. He can.
Is there any way to make him not look like Snitsky? I'm just asking.
Yeah, you got to put a horror mask on him, like Michael Myers.
Do something. Because without a mask, he looks like Snitsky to me.
Well, and you can even take the mask off halfway through the wrestling, but put some paint or some dirt on his face to kind of dull him down a little bit.
Okay, I know Brian does. Derek, do you, Steve, do you guys watch The Walking Dead?
No.
Okay, Brian, the kind of mask I would like to see on him is, was it Omega? Is that the guy's name? The dude that's with Alpha?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That kind of mask. Yeah, that'd be great.
He needs a skin mask.
Yeah, like a bar from Corey Taylor. I don't care.
Well, here's something that
Get out of that dollhouse Bray Wyatt's got. I don't care.
I mean, that'd be okay. I would rather. I think the best thing to do with him is send him home. But if you're gonna push Lars Sullivan, how about getting creative and not just doing the Braun Strowman story again with somebody new?
Why do the same thing over and over? They've done it so many times. Like somebody mentioned Snitsky. Snitsky, we've seen it.
Well, and they're doing that with everything that they have, and it's really upsetting me. One thing that I noticed this week, and this is kind of off the Lars Sullivan topic, but it still goes in with the whole doing things over and over and over again. Have you noticed? Okay, you remember when Shinsuke low blowed AJ, then 4 weeks later, Daniel Bryan low blowed AJ. Now, these are two people that turned heel with a low blow. Then you have your top face on Raw use a low blow to beat Brock Lesnar in the main event at WrestleMania.
Explain that logic.
And he's still a face.
We just lost the championship.
Fell down on that one. The belt even gave up after hearing that and just fell over.
I can't take it anymore.
All right, I'll stop.
But I mean, really, think about that. You've got two two faces that turned heel with a low blow, and then your number one face on Raw uses a low blow to win the world title at WrestleMania. And how many times are we going to see the low blow this year?
It's like nobody there.
Super kick.
It's like nobody there is thinking it's bad enough, and I wanted to talk with Derek about the New Japan and Ring of Honor and whether or not the matches can tell the story enough, or do you need it like in the old days when guys wrote storylines out 5 and 6 weeks in advance, and because of the way TV ran then. You had to tell the boys in the back, look, Hey, listen to Jim Cornette's podcast sometimes. You'll learn all kinds of stuff about wrestling. They had to tell guys when they were doing their promos, hey, this week in Evansville, Indiana, we're on this episode, and this hasn't happened yet. But this week in Lexington, Kentucky, this has already happened, so when you cut your promo, this is already... Those guys had to keep that stuff straight. And if Mandy Savage...
Mandy Savage?
That's right. If Macho Man Randy Savage could keep that stuff straight and plan it 6 to 8 weeks out for a small outlaw company like ICW, then they ought to be able to take some of these big Hollywood types that you know are working for WWE and do that, where they don't have this stupid.
That's what I cannot fathom for the life of me, because you got
continuity.
These. What is Game of Thrones is on the 8th season?
Yeah,
and that's why can't they hire somebody that can write long-term story like that? I think
that's a good point. George R.R. Martin only had written so much of Game of Thrones. That was Hollywood writers that have us up in seasons 6, 7, and 8 right now.
I think a lot of the problem, once again, goes back to Vince McMahon. He does not have the staying power anymore. He says, well, this ain't working, let's change it. And next thing you know, we're going in a completely different direction. That's just my opinion. Sorry, Brian. Derek, what do you guys think?
I don't know, man. I think low blows are getting as bad as super kicks, and they're not nearly as entertaining.
You know what we should do to protest? We should go to Double or Nothing, and we should charge people to grab our junk. And, that'll teach them.
Well, we would do that, John, but you've got softball.
No, I have soft balls, Brian. Hey, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll talk back and talk about some other stuff going on in the news. We'll be right back.
Since 2001, drug companies dumped 1 billion opioid pills in West Virginia, causing over 3,000 overdose deaths and thousands of babies born addicted by no fault of their own. I'm attorney Stephen New. If you're the grandparent or guardian of a child born with neonatal abstinence syndrome, call me. I'll help you seek just compensation.
Call the law offices of Stephen P. New at 1-844-BAD-PILLS before time runs out.
Oh, let's see. All right, here we go. Oh, God, I got to do it again. Steve, talk to these people. Derek, tell them a story.
Derek, while I've got you and Rez isn't up here, I have to tell you, that New Japan Ring of Honor show in the Garden, I so wished you could. I really wish that you guys were there that weekend, and I missed you all at WrestleMania weekend. But, man, I'm telling you, just the quality of that show was amazing to me, man. I'm telling you, I saw 15 hours of live wrestling that weekend between MLW, Ring of Honor in New Japan, and then WrestleMania.
Is this going to be like the proverbial fish? Because last week it was 13. Now it's 15. Next week it's going to be 18.
I said 15.
I know you did.
So, I just got to say, man, that was fantastic. Now, I don't know what they're going to do with their belt situation, because I understand there are some ROH guys who hold New Japan belts and some New Japan guys who hold ROH belts. But be that as it may, I'm just telling you that match for match, that was fantastic professional wrestling.
Well, Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling, they do talent share, and it gives Ring of Honor a way to tour Japan and have somewhere to go, but it also gives Japan an outlet to come into the States and show off their talent unlike never before. So that's the whole thing between some of their guys hold belts here and these hold belts there. They do a lot of talent share, which it's not a great thing, but it's truly helped the exposure for both companies at the moment, because they're not a threat to anybody else. So they're just
the Garden was sold out that night. The Garden was absolutely sold. Whatever the capacity is, 20,000 or whatever.
10,000.
No, it's more than that.
Nah, they can do 17.5, I think.
You got a computer in front of you. Look at the capacity.
Yes, sir.
I'm talking about Derek. Derek's got a computer right there. Look it up. But to add to what you were saying right there is WCW did the same thing with New Japan, and they had belt sharing as well.
Capacity of Madison Square Garden, 20,789.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
over.
and like I said, with a wrestling show, I'm pretty sure they can do 17.5. Legitimately.
Well, the belt sharing thing though is nothing new. It's
Derek,
something that
are you
New
going to
Japan has
share
done
the
a
belt,
lot.
or are you going to take it for yourself next week, old buddy?
Look, if I win it, I'm taking it. I'm bringing that sucker home, and I'm never coming back with it, just in case.
What do you mean? You got to put it up. You got to put it on the line if you win it. There's a 30-day
I
no
will be
compete
the
clause, sir.
longest reigning Royal Rumble champion ever, because you will not see me again.
I'll send Mike Loving
You
to
better
jump
just
you.
hope Richie beats me.
Maybe I might do a 24/7 roll on this belt. I'll come catch you while you're at your shoot job. Take you out.
Just show up at your shoot job and just start asking you questions. Like, man, I gotta do this work. No,
Not
What
today.
happened in 1984?
Let's move on to some news, guys, or we're not going to get through this show. Vince McMahon says it's rumored that Vince McMahon says he may ban fans from attending the Hall of Fame ceremony after what happened to Bret Hart this year. How do you guys feel about that?
I feel like you should just up security.
Honestly, I mean, if you're going to do that, put up the hockey barrier, put fans behind the glass, put superstars on the floor. Don't ban them completely.
Yeah, I agree.
I say you put superstars down on the floor and put fans up in the cheap seats. I didn't like it in a wrestling ring type
It was different. It was different.
as opposed to a stage. I like the stage better.
Yeah, it was nice having
in
that
an
different
auditorium
look
type
for a
thing.
wrestling show. You know, you always used to see in the ring. It's nice to have something different going
Yeah.
on. It was reported that Ronda Rousey had a bad attitude going into WrestleMania, and she was very adamant about Becky Lynch not tapping her out. Do you think this is there's anything to that, or do you think it's just people talking?
I think it's legitimate.
I don't think she quite understands that wrestling is a work.
I agree. I think she doesn't understand. She doesn't come from a wrestling family. She doesn't understand about putting somebody over, or doing the job, that kind of thing.
She felt like it would be making herself look weak if she did that. Maybe, I don't know.
You mean as opposed to the times where, for real, she had somebody's hand destroy her face in UFC?
Becky's face destroyed her hand. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yes.
Well, you know something that and I've got the love-hate relationship with Vince Russo, but his podcast this week was talking about what he would do with WrestleMania, and he brought up a really good point where he talked about how the finish of the main event at WrestleMania was very similar to like sort of a Montreal screw job, where it could easily, be said that Ronda didn't actually lose that match, that the referee was just told to end it there because her shoulders were obviously up. And we all know that. We know her shoulders were not on the ground for the 3 count. So you could easily play off a storyline saying, hey, this was a screw job. This was a Vince McMahon screw job on Ronda Rousey because Ronda Rousey wasn't playing ball. Then you could take Ronda off TV for a while, and then when she came back, after her impregnation vacation.
Isn't that a Metallica song? Impregnation.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it is.
Maybe.
But nevertheless, you could take her off TV, and she shows back up and starts talking about a screw job. That would be a pretty decent angle. I have to give it to Russo. That's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think of it that way, but that is one way to look at it. Let's move on. Road Dogg has resigned as head co-writer of SmackDown due to Vince constantly changing the scripts.
Yes.
You've been so hard on him for so long. Do you not agree that SmackDown has been a better program than Raw the last year?
No.
You don't think so?
No, not at all.
I'm gonna have to
I
revisit
respectfully
that.
disagree. I think SmackDown's been the better show.
I think so too.
I think SmackDown has been the call it in, the phone it in show. Every week we talk about more stupid crap that happened on SmackDown. This is probably the first week that my con has not came from SmackDown. And he's also the one who wrote the Shinsuke's going to do the low blow, and then Daniel Bryan's going to do the low blow. He writes the same storylines over and over and over and over and over and over again. That's why I've not been.
That's kind of wrestling in a nutshell.
Look, I don't like either of it. The writing just absolutely stinks on both. That's all you can say.
Yeah, that's true.
What else we got in the news?
Big E, Nia Jax, and Daniel Bryan are all injured, which I think is a good thing for Big E, because if they're smart, they'll bring him back to turn on Kofi. That's just my opinion.
Yep, it sets it up nicely for that whole I've spent that time on the show.
Keep the Kevin Owens thing going,
Yeah.
Why not? And then
please don't.
Xavier Woods is another one that needs to be on 205. If anybody wanted to care about 205.
He was all to hell that his up, down, down boys was on those shows.
I got a piece of news. Can I share?
Sure.
Dolph Ziggler.
Hey, I know him.
I know where he's at.
Is it Sonny's house?
There's a big question of where's Dolph Ziggler? Why isn't Dolph Ziggler on TV? Well, I almost didn't show up to tonight's show. You know why? Because Dolph Ziggler is 45 minutes away from my house right now doing his comedy tour. And that's what he's doing right now. He is on tour doing stand-up comedy. Tonight, he is in Naples, Florida, which is about 45 minutes away from my house.
So you're saying
what name is he using? Is he using Dolph Ziggler or whatever?
He sure is.
Yeah, he does. He's still Dolph Ziggler, and that was part of his newest contract. Because before he could only do his comedy on his free time, but that was the cherry on it to get him to re-sign again. Was we will allow you so many tour dates a year now to go do your comedy, because that's really what he wanted to leave and do.
And that's what he's doing right now is his comedy tour, and he's in Naples tonight. And I almost missed the Royal Ramble to go see him, but then I decided that I picked you three guys and our wonderful audience over Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
That's what responsibility is all about, bro.
I pulled up to valet parking the other day. I said, "Hey, can you handle my bag?" Guy went over and felt up my wife. No,
Old Rodney. Old Rodney.
Well, I'm telling you, I looked at my daughter the other day. I said, "You just wait. One of these days, you'll have kids of your own." She said, "So will you, maybe."
His humor was so interesting.
Greatest comedian of all.
I think it's George Carlin, but that's just me.
Yeah, George Carlin is the greatest comedian of all time.
I like Carlin, but I don't think he's any Rodney Dangerfield.
I think Carl ever said, he said, when I wipe my hands when I go to the bathroom? When I shit on them. Anyway, let's move on. Impact is teaming up with Booker T's Reality of Wrestling to present Deep Impact on Saturday, July 6th. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think this is Booker T going away from WWE, or do you think Vince is like, go ahead, do your thing, Book?
That's just Booker T's Wrestling Academy. I mean, that's not Booker T going away from WWE. That's his guys getting an opportunity to work with someone else. The WWE doesn't have exclusive rights to work only with, his guys. So why not have
particularly guys like Booker who have those Legends contracts? There's no exclusivity in those Legends contracts like there are if you're on an active roster or something like that. And even then, as Brian just said with Dolph, they can get negotiated. So
fair enough. Back to what we talked about briefly before the show and on this show. Talked about New Japan and Ring of Honor working together. We've talked about All Elite working with the Oriental, I can't remember what it's called, the wrestling company out of China. I don't like that. I want my wrestling show to be exclusive. That way, when somebody jumps ship, it means something. You know what I mean?
I think that it's interesting that AEW is working with that company in China, because your average wrestling fan, or even your SMARC, as they call themselves, doesn't know who that company is. Like, Tim Cross knows who those people are. That's it that I've heard of. I mean, there's no real big. And I'm excited that the guy that Ultimo Dragon trained, or that guy, I want to see what he's all about. That's cool. They've kind of given me some type of interest in that. But as far as like being like, hey, our huge company that's supposed to compete with the WWE is now going to be teaming up with a company you've never heard of.
Here's this I seen today. I don't know if you guys seen this or not, but Austin Aries teased signing with AEW today. He tweeted out, signed, sealed, delivered. Vegas just hit the jackpot.
Well, that's awesome. That, you know what? That changes my whole opinion on the whole company. I cannot wait to buy an Austin Aries shirt.
Here you go, Brian. Bobby Lashley says that he still has some MMA fights left in him and that he might go back to Bellator this summer after SummerSlam. Said he wants to fight Ryan Bader. Bobby Lashley.
Bobby Lashley is a legitimate badass, and I think that if he goes,
so is
to
Donnie
MMA,
Baker.
he will wreck house.
So is Donnie Baker. I don't know if you guys know who he is. Here you go. We talked about the what was the name of the docuseries we was talking about earlier? Ring
Viceland.
Viceland. That's the show. But what's the name of the show?
Dark Side of the Ring.
Dark Side of the Ring. Hulk Hogan said he watched the first episode of the docuseries, The Macho Man, and he gave it a 5 out of 10. Says that they should have fact checked some of the things.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
On the show,
I saw the guy tweet right back out at Hulk Hogan when he put that bad tweet out there about it, and he said, Mr. Hogan, we reached out to you to take part in our series, and we never heard from you. So I don't know who Terry's PR guy is.
You're fired, brother.
I mean, honestly, though, is Hulk Hogan the most legitimate source for history facts at the moment?
Absolutely. Absolutely. He was in Rocky, for crying out loud.
Exactly. I mean, you know, he might not like the idea that they're portraying the truth because they might do one on Hulk Hogan and tell some stories that he may not be a big fan of.
I got to back up. Kenny Dunn's talking smack. Hang on real quick. It said it don't matter, John Covey Cole, because you won't watch it anyway. What is it, Kenny? I don't forgot what we was talking about. AEW.
We were talking
I'm going to watch
AEW.
I'm going to watch AEW. I promise. I'm going to give it a month to see if they can pull me in.
And to go back to AEW, not to backpedal a lot, but the other company is OWE, Oriental Wrestling Entertainment, and they're not really talent sharing so much as they're allowing the OWE platform in the U.S. The AEW guys are not going to perform for them.
Right, but they're going to bring them into their company, which makes even less sense. It would make more sense.
You guys about put me to sleep a minute ago with this Oriental Wrestling, so let's move on.
Do they honestly call it Oriental Wrestling?
No, it's Oriental something.
Wrestling Entertainment.
Yeah.
See, I got into a big argument the other day about when it's appropriate to use Oriental.
When you're talking about ramen noodles, of course.
Well, when you're talking about things, Oriental rugs, Oriental furniture,
not people.
Not people, only things.
Well, it is a thing. It's a wrestling company.
Whew. Right.
That's a slippery slope.
I agree.
Wow. Are we discussing whether Oriental is a racial slur or not?
No, that's what we're trying to do, but I'm trying to divert the attention elsewhere.
I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry.
I got a story for you guys off the air. Remind me after the show and I'll tell you.
All right.
Did you guys see where Mickey James wants Monday Night MILF merch?
I saw that.
I'd buy a shirt off of her.
She's realizing that as the sands trickle through the hourglass, she's about a gnat's hind end of going back to the Indies, and she knows it, and she's trying to milk some Monday Night MILF merch money.
Yep, let me get this while I can.
Talking about her, isn't it pretty incredible that she hasn't been able to get her husband a job in the WWE?
Maybe he doesn't want to come to WWE. Did you think about that?
That doesn't make any sense. Why would he not want to?
What do you mean why would he not want to? I'm sure he's making good money. He works the schedule he wants. The same reason the Young Bucks didn't want to come. The Cody didn't come. All these other guys don't want to come to WWE. It's not everybody's ideal placement. I mean, you got people leaving. Luke Harper just asked for his release. I mean, and that's huge for me because Luke Harper is great. And if he goes somewhere where he can be utilized properly, I think he's going to be a huge star.
Nick Aldis was in Madison a couple months ago. I did not want on a night where he's defending the belt to talk to him, but I would love to have asked Nick Aldis that very question because, I mean, to look at Nick Aldis, you think it
looks like $1 million.
It looks like $1 million. He's money. It's just like EC3. That could have been anybody's con.
Yeah, get squashed.
EC3. Oh my goodness. Bubba Ray tweeted about it. He said, "What are you doing? It's ridiculous. But I mean, I don't know what the money situation is being the NWA heavyweight champion. I have to agree with Brian though. I can't believe that it's as good as if you had a long term.
Maybe not, but don't you think he could possibly enjoy the freedom instead of going through that grind every 6 days a week?
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned Luke Harper, and I think that leaving the WWE may be the best thing for Luke Harper because then he can relive the Brody Lee character in AEW, and I think that he could actually get something accomplished. I don't feel like they're ever going to learn. Like, it's crazy that WWE was always known as the land of the giants, and somewhere along the way, between Andre the Giant and Bret Hart, they completely forgot how to book giants. They don't know how. I mean, if you look at all the big guys that are on the roster right now, nobody's being utilized correctly.
They're lost with Braun Strowman.
They are.
They're lost.
They don't know what to do with Braun.
They have no idea
I'm
what
not
to
the
do
biggest
with Braun.
fan, but I'm not the biggest. But a few months ago when I was talking about how bad I hated Braun, everything that I said was going to happen came true.
Yeah.
They topped him out. They made it so okay. Braun's going to flip over ambulances. He's going to turn over stage settings. He's going to do all this crazy stuff that you just cannot top. And then they're going to have a guy who should literally be throwing the ring into the sun, and they're not going to know what to do with him.
Right.
And that's exactly where they're at. They can't go forward with Braun Strowman because what else is he going to pick up?
And they're going to do the same thing with Lars Sullivan. They're going to do the same thing with him.
Well, they're already doing the same thing with him. He's already Braun Jr. And he's not as talented, honestly, and that's saying something coming from me because I don't like Braun.
Sean Cantrell on Facebook says Luke Harper will end up in Ring of Honor. We'll see.
Yeah. Cool.
I think Luke Harper will end up in AEW. I don't think anybody would leave the WWE for Ring of Honor. I don't think anybody's going to leave
point,
the WWE.
I don't believe it would be someone's number one choice.
No.
Yeah, but
I don't think anyone would leave. Period. For Ring of Honor.
With AEW and their slow start that they have right now, they don't need talent now because they're still developing a roster. They can be picky about if they want you or not. So you better be that good before they sign you.
Luke Harper's good.
But let's be honest, they're going to sign anybody that jumps ship. Anybody they can get to jump ship, they're going to sign them, just like WCW did. WCW was hiring the Honky Tonk Man and IRS and anybody they could get a hold of just so they could be like, hey, we got a WWE guy. We got a guy to jump ship. And
yeah, they can sign them if they can get name notoriety out of them because people will know your name. But not all WWE people know who Brody Lee is.
No, but they're going to see, hey, that's Luke Harper. So you're going to get all the WWE people who know what he looks like and know who he is.
Let me ask our attorney friend here on the show something he may or may not be able to answer. You'll have these former WWE wrestlers that will go and work for the independents, and you will see, let's say, for instance, Tenille Dashwood, formerly known as Emma from the WWE. Why is that okay to promote that like that and not okay for these wrestling companies that are televised to promote like that?
It's like I say in the intro, the large print giveth and the small print taketh away. I think as long as, and there must be something in the WWE contracts that allows that, because just adding the tag formerly known as or something like that, WWE doesn't seem to go after quite as much as if she was using. It's the name that's trademarked.
Well,
so,
here's an interesting
Brian.
piece to that. Heath Slater, for example, he's under contract with the WWE. When he does appearances for his wrestling school, he's allowed to do that as long as it's his wrestling school. But he has to call himself Heath Miller.
Yep.
Also known as Heath Slater.
Oh.
But he cannot call himself Heath Slater.
Right.
And he's under contract.
Right.
How do you guys feel about this whole Sasha Banks thing? Apparently, she's isn't happy
work.
with the company, and she asked for her release at WrestleMania. Supposedly, you think it's a work, Brian?
They would have never mentioned her name on Raw again if it was.
What about
real.
Dean Ambrose leaving? I mean, you still
That's
say
not-
that's a work too. You still say that's a work too,
yeah.
but it may not be.
It is a work, and I'll tell you a reason why
They're working
it's
you,
a
brother.
work. A reason why Dean Ambrose is a work is because they deliberately put out a fake story. There is no way AEW offered Dean Ambrose $6 million. It
I didn't
did
see
not
that.
happen. That did not happen.
I didn't
Dean
see that.
Ambrose-
They can't offer him. They can't offer him a contract when he's with another company. I don't know where you read that at, but I never seen that article.
It was all over the dirt sheets just about a week ago.
You can't, Steve. Am I right? You can't legally offer someone a contract when they're under contract with. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of ins and outs with the wrestling promotion.
Well, I mean, you
But-
can
offer
offer
them a
so
handshake
long as it
contract.
doesn't interfere with their contractual obligations. Like, let's say, for instance, that Dean Ambrose has an agent, and they almost all have agents now, and that agent is able to go to an AEW and say, "Hey, my client's contract with WWE is over April 30, and I want to negotiate a deal that starts from May 1 of 19 to May 1 of 2025. 6-year deal, $1 million a year or whatever." I mean, nothing prevents.
So they could set the groundwork.
Right.
Gotcha.
They could.
Well,
they could-
I think you can start negotiating 90 days before your contract comes up.
the contract will probably specify, the point at which Ambrose or his agents can start talking to other wrestling companies or something like that.
Well, let's say you're right, John Covey Cole, which you very well may be, and it doesn't really matter because it's all fake anyway. But the point of the situation is, AEW didn't offer that. AEW did not offer that, and I guarantee you, the person who fed the dirt sheets that printed that article, and it's not just one place. There's more than one place that fed that article. And if whoever fed those dirt sheets, I guarantee you was from the WWE.
Let me
They're
tell
the
you who's
ones that are putting that
benefiting
out
from
there.
this. The wrestling world is benefiting from this. This is no different than One Wrestling and Meltzer and Mikasa and all those guys in the 90s. If you remember when the Monday Night Wars were going on, and you had it down literally to tracking the quarter hour when they were head to head, and then it was who was jumping here, who was going to be on Monday night tonight, what show were they going to be on, and that, it's the wrestling business that benefits
Sure.
from that. Vince loves the fact that people are talking about where is Dean Ambrose going to be, where is Sasha Banks going to be.
So
He
you think it's a
loves
work
that.
too?
I think it's a work.
And you know what, Dean Ambrose, what's going to look better? Dean Ambrose just working that he's quitting and then coming back?
Hey, here you
Or
go, Brian. Check this out. Kenny Dunn on Facebook says John Moxley versus Sammy Callahan Monsters Ball match.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
that would be great, but it's not going to happen. And what I was trying to finish with what I was saying is that Dean Ambrose getting offered a $6 million contract and then showing back up in the WWE, what does that say? What does that say without saying it? That says the WWE is worth more than $6 million to Dean Ambrose.
I'm anxious to find out what's going to happen. I hope you gentlemen are right. I hope I am being worked because I've told you guys on the show I like to be worked.
Yeah.
Work me as much as you can.
Well, here's a question I have for you guys. Have you seen how they're promoting The Shield, the final chapter?
Yeah, on Sunday they're doing the house show that they recorded or whatever.
Yeah, it's being promoted like a pay-per-view. That's a weird thing all in itself.
You think that's
Let me-
weird? You should see me naked. That's weird.
I bet it is. But my question is,
It's like airplane.
when have you ever seen somebody leave the WWE and get their own freaking pay-per-view out of it? Never.
You haven't.
That's
But
never
at the same time,
happened.
gentlemen, at the same time, this is a new world of wrestling. That's the thing about wrestling. You never know. You can't never say never.
Well, let me say this. if Luke Harper really asked for his release, we will never see him again. We will never hear his name again. WrestleMania will be the last time that you ever hear Luke Harper because he may really be leaving.
And it's hard to tell because there's so much unused talent in WWE right now. You don't know whether you're not hearing from Luke Harper because he asked for his release or it's because they've got a gazillion wrestlers on the roster right now and they just didn't get to him.
That's true. That's true.
Well, I know
I
TJ
hate the
Perkins
glut
asked
of
for his
talent.
release, and we never heard from him again.
Okay, but these guys are asking for the release. Did Dean ask for a release, or did he decide not to sign a contract? Did he leave on good terms? Hey, my contract's up. I did what you asked. I fulfilled it. Now I'm just not coming back.
Well, there's no way to know until they end up somewhere else. But what I'm saying is there's such a glut of talent. Luke Harper has probably been released and ready to go. And, you know, he just showed up at WrestleMania, came walking down the ramp, and my buddy Dustin said, "Oh, my goodness. There's Luke Harper." And I was like, I marked out for a minute again. That's Luke Harper.
When Bret Hart decided not to sign his contract, he got screwed in Montreal, and the next time we heard about him on WWE TV, a midget was playing him.
Hang on. He got screwed allegedly.
Oh, no, I'm going to tell you. I didn't screw Bret Hart. Bret Hart screwed Bret Hart.
Did you see the Bret Hart meme that was like feeling cute? Might screw myself later. I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Guys, next week here on the Royal Ramble, Richie Acevedo, Derek Jones for the Royal Ramble Championship. For those of you guys that aren't familiar, Derek Jones was the 2018 winner of the Royal Ramble Rumble. Richie Acevedo was the 2019 winner of the Royal Ramble Rumble. And we are going to have them go head-to-head in wrestling trivia to see who is going to be the first ever Royal Ramble champion.
That's a beautiful,
Next
beautiful
week.
belt. Hey, real quickly, couple things. Last weekend in Madison, Jim Cornette, the Midnight Express, they were inducted in the ASW Hall of Fame by Hustler Rip Rogers. It was a great time. There was a crowd of about 500 people in Madison.
I seen there was a lot of people there.
Yeah, there were a lot of people. The line for autographs and pictures was about 2 hours long. It was just a really great night. We worked an angle with the Smoky Mountain Legends match, and Bobby Fulton came out, and we acted like Rebecca had painted pictures of Tracy Smothers and Bobby Fulton, and Tracy Smothers smashed them and beat Brian Logan over the head with one of them. It was beautiful, and then did the schoolboy, and I got in for the quick 3 count.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then Monday morning, what happened was this. There was this bootleg Midnight Express shirt. And my friend Justin's going through the line, and Cornette's like, "Wait a minute, I ain't getting paid for that. Where'd you get that shirt?" So
He done caught my side business, did he?
that's right. Justin checks on it, sends the guy. So I wake up to a tweet storm Monday morning. "My name's Jim Cornette. My attorney is Stephen P. New. We're going to sue the pants off of you if you don't stop making these." So now I'm fixing
So you had to send out a cease and desist, did you?
Send out a cease and desist, and also we are heading to New York City. Macho Man's having his likeness and image ripped off. What this company does is they are a T-shirt distributor, and these guys upload images, drawings, things like that. They check a box on the terms of service that say, yes, we're the legal copyright trademark holders of this image, when they're not. So anyway, we're going to take them to school.
Is it a pretty big company?
I don't know. Fix to
Let's
find out.
Well, you gave him a.
You will rue the day that you step across Jim Cornette and Stephen P. New.
That's right.
You gave him a cease and desist, right?
Yeah.
So once you give them the cease and desist, they stop then, and you can't sue them.
Nope. That just means that they are smart because they're not infringing in the future, which, as I tweeted them and told them, that's 2 times damages plus attorney's fees if they do something stupid post cease and desist. That does not nullify our ability to claim damages from past violations.
So essentially, if the push comes to shove, you guys could have someone go into their files essentially and see what shirt they've sold and get the rightful money to the rightful owner.
Yep, that's exactly right.
That's cool. That's what's up.
Yep.
Well, speaking of shirts that no one can get sued for, check out this cool shirt that I got in the mail from Stephen P. New.
That's almost as cool as this shirt that I got right here.
This shirt.
We got your shirt here in the studio, Derek, if you ever show up back to work, pal.
And it fits great, Steve. Thank you so much.
Good, man. I loved that design. I mean, just
it's a great
the
design.
Lucha on the Statue of Liberty. Of all the shirts that I saw up there, I like that one for you best, Brian.
And the Statue of Liberty's got a chair and it's not even folded up. It's La Parka style. I like that.
Derek, you got any final thoughts before we get out of here, brother?
I hate that you started with me on that one. I hate that there's always do you have a final thought question? I mean, there's still so much wrestling that we could talk about.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess it doesn't work when you don't watch that much, John.
Well, I can just sit over here and shut up and let you talk for 45 minutes, and we can have our separate show. Derek and the not quite WWE level wrestling.
Ooh.
John.
He just took a shot.
Well, I'm just saying.
He just took a shot at you, Derek.
Last week we talked about the guy refusing. Was that last week or was it this week? The guy that refused to work the intergender match with Tessa.
That was last week.
All right.
That's not just the guy. That is Eli Drake.
Oh, right. I'm blanking
the
on the
future AEW World Champion.
That was Eli. I'm out of a job, Drake. That guy.
Not
he needs
for
to go
long,
to
I don't
WWE.
figure.
If he's going somewhere, he needs to go to WWE. He does not need to go to AEW.
Why? What, I just went from trying to give you an opportunity, a platform to put over your independence and your New Japans, and then you go say Eli Drake needs to go to WWE.
Guys,
I don't understand you.
I'm telling you, I think MLW is going to be big. I think guys are going to find their way there between AEW and WWE and all of this kind of stuff. They've got some money.
Well, I remember when they first come on Friday nights. I was watching them there for about a month, and I got sidetracked with life, like it happens. Go ahead and judge me if you want, Derek and Ben, all you Facebookers out there. But they do have a good show. They really do.
Yeah, it's.
But my fear is that they're not going to be able to financially keep up.
Right, and but they've got some money.
That's why they're in talks with Steve New.
That's actually the T-shirt company that Steve's going after right now.
Big money.
No, sir.
Anyway, Derek, go ahead and put Eli Drake over or New Japan, whatever you was fitting ready to do.
I'm definitely not going to put Eli Drake over because I'm not a fan. But
how can you not be?
Brian, let this man talk. I keep interrupting him. Now you're going to start interrupting him.
I'm asking a legit question. How can you not be a fan of Eli Drake?
He got nothing for me. Don't like anything about him. But if he goes to AEW, it will be the same thing, just like in TNA. Or if he would go to MLW, he doesn't have a wrestling style that blends with these companies. He should have been in WWE all along because he's a little bit slower pace. He's got a really overworked match. He kind of does the same routine, which works for him. That's great. He has no developing in his character. That's fine because a lot of WWE guys are the same way. They wrestle the same match every night. It's the same 4 or 5 big moves. Exactly, Steve. They have a format to their matches anymore that incorporate these spots, as John likes to use the word spot now, so I'm going to throw it out.
What kind of spot,
you.
Derek?
A wrestling spot, John. A wrestling spot. But he has this.
There's your triple threat right there, baby.
Routine that won't work in AEW. That it doesn't work in Impact, and that might be why I don't like him because it doesn't work in Impact. But it will work in the WWE because that's their style and format of wrestling.
Brian's head's smoking again over there.
Man,
and you can give him a valet and name him if you need to.
Do you think that the Eli Drake really needs somebody to talk for him? Absolutely not. He is Eli Drake.
Yeah, I know, and that's what he says. Just like that's what you say, but I need him to say more.
I just.
You know what else he says? You know what else he says?
What's that?
Derek? Dummy. Yeah. That's what you're being right now.
All right.
Because Eli Drake is the future. Man, I wish somebody believed that other than
Steve
me.
New, do you got any final thoughts? And more importantly, when's the next
Eli
time?
Drake. I don't know. We're the only ones that believe in him.
I'd like to get your final thoughts, Steve, and more importantly, when's the next show that ASW and yourself are putting on in Logan County?
That'd be Boone County.
Oh, going to Boone County.
For those of us who went to good public school. There's a free show in May. It's Fan Appreciation
Free
Night.
show?
Free show. Fan
Wow.
Appreciation Night in May.
You guys are drawing 500 people on a paid show, so it's going to be madness, right?
Yeah, I think our Fan Appreciation Night in May has got some great potential. And then end of June, Jillian Hall and Summer Rae are coming for the June show at the Madison Civic Center.
Nice.
So we're excited about the next two shows coming up for ASW.
Sweet.
Summer
I
Rae.
know that Tim Cross has and Real Shoot Wrestling have Teddy Hart coming to a show somewhere here in West Virginia. I think Buchanan. It's in May, I believe. But
You and I need to head out to, or get Derek or something.
I can't even get Derek to come over to my house. He can't get me to go to no wrestling show.
Derek,
You know what they don't do at wrestling shows? They don't sing.
Yes, they do. Don't you remember what was the girl's name that was on WWE for a while that sang? That was horrible.
No, that wasn't Jillian.
Who was it? It was Jillian.
It was
Jillian Hall.
Jillian
Jillian Hall.
sang.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Well, Derek feels the same way about your singing.
Hey, Derek, if you decide to go with us, me and Steve will save you a spot, old buddy. Not just any
What
spot
kind
either.
of spot?
Brian, you got any final thoughts, brother?
Just that you can find Summer Rae naked on the internet. That's my final thought.
All right, fair enough. Derek, do you have any final thoughts, or do you want to end with your final thought being about Eli Drake?
I feel like I should have another thought now, just because I don't want it to be about Eli Drake going off the show.
He's so amazing.
He's not that good. But if you want to talk about somebody that is good, AEW signed Michael Nakazawa from DDT.
Mike Nakwa. No, it don't work as good as Eli Drake.
Yeah, Eli Drake. You know who did it better and still does it? EC3.
EC3's awesome too. I love EC3. I mean, he's no Eli Drake, but he's good.
Hey, Derek.
Yeah.
What do you got to say to Richie Acevedo if he's out there watching?
The only thing that I can hope for you, Richie, is that they develop all these questions about wrestling that happened before 1995.
We
got him.
Then I know that it's going to go to Richie because it's going to be 92 and earlier.
I started watching in 81, Derek. I went to Great American Bashes live in 85, 86, 87, 88.
Oh, you know what?
I watched Skywalker's matches with the Road Warriors and the Midnight Express.
You know what? You know what's going in your favor is I'm designing the questions, and I was born in 82. So.
But I'm going to be judging the answers, so take heed in that also.
Judge an answer.
If it's some controversial question
if
and
the question
an answer,
is who won the Royal Rumble in '96, the answer is always Shawn Michaels.
Always.
If you guys remember correctly, we had a situation with Richie Acevedo on the show at the Royal Ramble
this weekend.
Back in January.
He was wrong.
Technically, that's why we have to have a judge, because technically he wasn't wrong. Technically, Brian wasn't wrong.
Over here running the Royal Ramble, ladies and gentlemen.
Hold on. No, Brian.
Hold on. Before we go there, I'm going to take it back the year prior. Do you remember the question that eliminated George Fama to give you the win in the Royal Ramble, Derek
Yeah,
Jones?
I remember the question was read wrong. Not answered wrong, read wrong.
The question, whatever it was there were X amount of wrestlers that did this. Name all of them. Which was horseshit because there was a couple questions earlier that was the same idea, but you only had to name 2 of them or so.
Right,
but
the
anyway.
question should have been, there were 4 men to hold the $1 million title, name 3 of them.
I'm just going to say this right now. I've been in the back, just hanging out. If you beat him next week, I want your ass first, pal, for this belt. You got
John,
me?
you don't even watch wrestling. That's not fair.
Yeah, Derek versus John Covey Cole would be a squash match.
Oh,
John.
yeah. I'm going to be like Lars Sullivan up in this bitch. Wow!
Shit, you'll be like Lars Sullivan having an anxiety attack.
On that note, guys, we're going to get the hell out of here. I got to go. Next week, Richie Acevedo versus Derek Jones for the Royal Ramble Championship. And if by some chance Derek does get past Richie Acevedo, then I'm going to have to prove Brian and Derek wrong and show them that I know more than what I show.
I'm saying it right now because it's John Covey Cole's show. Everybody out there watching, if John Covey Cole beats me in a wrestling trivia contest, you better believe it's a work.
Just like Sasha Banks and Dean Ambrose. It'll work.
All right, guys, for Steve New, Brian Resner, Derek Jones, I'm John Covey Cole, guys. Until next week, ramble on.